Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the London session class on TopstepTV. My name is Deeyana Angelo, aka Market Stalker D. I'm a Series 3 qualified futures trader. I specialize in some of the more unusual products. If you've been here before, you will know that. So I prefer trading precious metals. I prefer trading gasoline futures. Yes, I was a crude oil trader for 12 years, but gasoline futures is kind of like its twin. And for the London session, I've actually chosen platinum and copper over some of the products that you see on TopstepTV and during the main broadcasts, such as NQ, which is something everybody's obsessed with. But yeah, I'm actually not an NQ trader by default. I do trade DAX during London, which we still don't have on Topstep, but this year, at some point, they will try and get it over for us. So let's get into the markets and see what is happening overnight. New month, right? So we are in March. March can be a little bit of a funny one because sometimes you see some evidence of, I suppose, seasonal depression would be the way to describe it, where you might have slightly reduced volatility, although we do have a new administration over in the US. So this could be an outlier year where you don't see those sorts of moves that are a little bit muted, but still something to keep in mind. One way that I like to see how things are going in regards to volatility of the product is to look at the volatility indexes of the desired product. So if you didn't know, it's not only the equities that have a VIX, but you have crude oil VIX as well, which is OVX. You also have gold VIX, you have platinum VIX, and all of that is literally on the CBOE website. They're known as CBOE volatility indexes. So let me see if I can... CME volatility indexes. So if you go into Google and type in something like CVol copper, you will get this CME Group Volatility Index, CVol, which is their trademark. If you scroll down, there is a dashboard with a whole bunch of stuff. And then if you want to choose each individual asset class, you will see these numbers here. Now, for equities, anytime the VIX goes above 20, that means pretty good day trading conditions. Some of the alternative products will have very different cutoff points where you need to effectively go back and see the time of the year or the month. How did the product behave? What was the range? And then figure out what is the cutoff point. Now, for platinum, I know that number is about, I think it's about 25 when we get really good day trading conditions. Right now, we're sitting at 26. This is a little bit delayed, so you know, it's usually like a few hours behind, but I don't really look at the volatility indexes on a sort of a minute-to-minute time frame, right? I look at the daily, and then I try to carry over my analysis into the next day, depending on what the volatility index is doing. And similarly for copper, I actually like to see it above 20, and we're sitting above 24. So that is pretty good. Gold has a bit of a lower threshold. It's more traded products. So I would say gold, I probably want to see it above 15. We're now 17. But actually gold does pretty well, even if its own volatility index falls down to 13. It actually becomes a little less spiky and a bit easier to trade. 17 for me is actually on gold a little bit tricky. You know, you have very, very big candles that are, you know, spanning 180 ticks on some of these days. Now, in the energy markets, whenever crude oil falls below 35, that becomes pretty painful. And we start having days where the NYMEX session, the regular trading hour session, is only about $1 wide. Now, that's super tight for crude oil. So I try to stay away from that whenever it happens. And instead, I will go to natural gas or gasoline futures. So somewhere where there might be a little bit more juice. All right, so now that kind of first point of a checklist, because it's all a checklist, isn't it? Now that that's over, we can start having a look at the top-down approach. I never start my day by looking at a 30-second chart, right? So, or even a 30-minute chart. I don't think it provides enough of a bird's eye view for me to make an educated guess of what should happen at this particular trade location. So I actually look at monthly, weekly, daily, and then I start to drop down to some more intraday time frames once I know what is going on. So I'm going to go up to the weekly chart on Platinum just to give you an idea of how that works. For example, you can see very clearly that there was a top here, some supplies created, then we had one reactive supply, then we have the same supply reacting twice more, and then bringing this very nice swing down to these demand areas. So now that we are in a demand area, this is a decision point. Are they going to push it higher to reverse and to go into another swing, which would make this whole structure a range on the daily chart? If they start to drop the price further, I want to see what happens around 942 again, because that is where we sort of stopped and bounced a little bit. If we don't make any significant reactions over there, there is a potential that we have some kind of a downtrend, but that's just conjecture, right? So we don't have that right now. In fact, what Asia did, they went up, right? So we had slight pullback, but generally it was like just range bound. So let's go to the daily chart to see that they are definitely, you know, who's they? The wizards. The people with deeper pockets, they definitely tried to reverse this, and they're trying to make it go higher. It is now down to us as day traders to figure out whether they want to take it into sustained auction or whether this was just a little test before they bring it back into the initial balance, and maybe we have a range to start this Monday. So not much to glean from the daily chart. So let's go down to a 4-hour chart. All right, so this was the end, last sort of 2-3 hours of the session on Friday. And then as soon as Asia opened, they tried to push it higher, stayed range bound, so not much of a trend there. If there was, you would see a 4-hour chart continue in the same direction, but what you have is one up candle, one candle of indecision. So really now it's up to London to make up its mind. At the moment, they're not really doing much. They tried to go back up to the GEX 8 level, which is, it's not that relevant. It's a smaller kind of gamma exposure level. But because that is the only thing that we have around, that seems to be reactive for now. So this is what that looks like on the intraday time frame. I'm down on a 30-minute chart, and this is the point where I start looking at market profile. I start looking at average session and daily ranges, and some of the other things like settlement and all of that. And in fact, settlement was sort of a bounce area if you look at it as a demand. So it was just underneath 947. That's where they sort of ended it. And with the little move away from it, they kind of created this area of demand. So almost got there, but then they bounced. And now they're sort of trying to exit the initial balance. And the first 30-minute time frame that popped outside of the initial balance ended up as a doji. So that's an indecision. They tried. GEX 8 was a bit prohibitive for any current moves. Whether that changes or not remains to be seen. But for now, to me, this is very indecisive. And I want to sit and wait to see what they want to do, right? So very being very careful on this Monday because it's the start of the week, start of a new month as well, which means there could be some new positioning starting for this period, and it could be a little bit too early in the day because obviously we have some bigger players. Platinum trades a lot on COMEX, so the bigger players are still asleep, so they won't be around just yet. We might have some overnight clerks that are clicking buttons, but generally it's down to COMEX to make the decision. And sure, Platinum does trade quite a lot during London as well. In fact, at the moment, it's kind of split 50-50. So looking at the ranges, we have London at 143 ticks, and that's the shortened London session. And then we have COMEX session that also has 144 ticks. So, you know, whichever session you trade, whether London or New York, they have an equal amount of ticks to be had. Is that a word? Tickage. Get some tickage. All right. So that's platinum. Now let's have a look at gold, because gold, I know, is something that more people trade as a metal that is reasonably popular still. Everyone's gunning for the 3K, and the 3K is not exactly arriving. So what is going on in gold? Let's have a look at the weekly chart. Look at that. Let me just delete some of these because it looks a bit messy, and then we can replot them with the current day levels. Current day levels. My Eastern European side is strong this morning. Weekly chart. We have a bearish engulfing that we haven't really seen in quite a few weeks, actually. The last time we had a decent bearish engulfing on the weekly chart was back in May 2024. Wow, okay. I mean, we had the 3-bar reversal. However, I consider bearish engulfing to be a little bit more decisive than this, because this implies indecision. Are we going to go up? Are we going to go down? And then it's like, oh no, actually, let's go down. Now, 3-bar reversals on a low time frame behave a little bit differently than the ones on the large time frame, but they can both be obviously reversal patterns. But for my liking, statistically, I prefer good old 2-bar reversal bearish engulfings, especially on large time frames. We have that. Is this now an indication that we shied away from 3K and we're going to go down? Well, no one knows, right? But we can kind of say with quite some certainty there is a new supply here. That is the only thing that you can say with certainty. How they behave, again, the wizards, the market makers, the people with, the bigger pockets, institutional side of things, whether they're going to be interested in taking this further down, that's what we have to decide as day traders. So it's not a matter of predicting things, it's just a matter of seeing what is factually on the chart on the large time frame that has enough trading information for you to decide whether this is important or not, and then go, are they rejecting supply or are they pushing deeper into it? That is the first indication whether the supply is a good quality or not. This is a new supply, so we haven't had a move away from it. We haven't had anything else apart from some unwinding of positions and then printing this massive reversal. So let's have a look at the daily chart. What did the daily chart do? Like, we were all looking at this range as a sort of a line in the sand. Are we going to go below that or not? For now, we've gone below it, and not just gone below it, but we actually closed the entire day below it. So one idea is that this formal low is now a resistance on this daily time frame, and that we're going to go even lower. But be careful, because sometimes if you don't have an already visible supply on a bigger time frame, what could happen is that they actually go all the way up to the nearest visible supply. Again, these are all mechanical levels that get created through the activity of the institutions. So it's not you or me or Hogue or even Dakota or your mate Dave down the road. It's literally people with very, very deep pockets that can trade hundreds and thousands of contracts. So the first visible supply is a drop-based drop at 29.25 29.3, that's a nice number. So they sometimes, if this support turns into resistance idea doesn't work out, my next point of looking for sell-offs would be 29.3. I'm not saying we're just going to be selling, because if you get quite late in the day and you have a possibility to long it, that is a mean reversion intraday. So it works both ways. But it's just good to know these sort of turning points, orientation points, where you should be looking to flip to the other side and become a seller, okay? But to me, gold is definitely in an interesting situation where it's about to make a decision of whether we're going to go into a sell-off for this year. Does this mean that they're seeing the market as stable, that there's no danger of inflation? Are they running into copper as an alternative to protection from inflation? I don't know. But we're going to see. We're going to see whether they take it down. I'm a little bit short biased, right? So I will be looking for evidence of shorts if I can take them. Kai says, took a week off, got my head kicked in last Monday, minus 3,400, not doing so well today already. Okay, so why do you trade so early on Monday would be my first question. And, hit me with questions. Obviously, I'm not going to have an early trade yet. Why? Because it's bloody Monday, I'm trying to wake up. Before I do any trading, I look for understanding. This is the reason for talking so much. This is the reason for me analyzing the levels. I want to see what they want to do with it before I dig a $3,500 hole for myself that I will then spend the rest of the week trying to get myself out of. So let's try not do that on Mondays. That's like one way to ruin your mental health, right? Mental health is important for traders in particular. And the amount of times that we create extra work for us is just like epic. So, one way to get ahead of that is to not trade super early before you get an actual understanding. Hold on. My cavalier wanted to get into the office. He's walking right now, so you'll probably hear some nail clicking, dog nail clicking, clickety click, clickety click. And he's got a bit of beef with one of his sons. So you heard Crichty have a little pop at him. Now, Leonard the cavalier is deaf, so even though Crichty is like, yeah, I'm gonna mess you up, Leonard is like, hello, what's up? So there's like this weird thing that I think is mostly in just Crichty's head. So yeah, now we've done the dog switch out. You can see him walking around as well. The tail just swished in the background. So I do apologize if anybody's dogs reacted to Crichty being a little bit twitchy this morning. But that's what happens in a multi-dog household. All right, so yeah, let's not dig holes on Monday. If you must trade small. I don't like seeing people creating extra work for themselves, because then the week is not about profits and process, it's about getting out of a hole. Okay, and that's never a good mindset to be in on. In case you haven't figured out, trading is like 97% mental. It's you versus you versus how good are you at controlling losses, you versus how good are you at keeping yourself calm after a loss, not over trading, not riding the dopamine wave if you do have a great trade. It's literally all just a mental game, right? And if you don't yet get that, perhaps consider having a bit of a talk with yourself and see what you're really trying to get out of it. Is trading some sort of excitement for you? If that's the case, there are more fun ways to blow money up. Okay, a lot more fun. You know, you can go to a bar, you can go to a casino, where, you know, you get all the free drinks and everything. If you're gambling, it's more fun. So sitting in a room by yourself, clicking buttons and losing money is not exactly my idea of fun. So I try to keep my trading as mechanical and as boring as possible. To me, it's a data science. It's not to do with emotions at all. So getting angry at the market that doesn't even know you exist is not the way to do it. And digging huge holes where you're going to need a bulldozer to dig yourself out of them on a Monday, or even Globex Open, you know, that's probably even worse. So don't do it to yourself, man. Just be kind to yourself. Like, I will never... You know, I never suffered from some of the things that I saw in my coaching. Wes says, DAX did a crazy large range for the initial bounce, almost fully expanding the average session range. Yeah, Wes, that's rarely a sign that that we're going to have... hold on, let me see what's happening, and then I can... Okay, so the VIX is higher. DAX VIX is higher, and that means that the expansion of the candles is actually good. Now, when you said that, I expected to see a like a doji, but it wasn't. This was like a classic overinflated Frankie fake out. So Wes, you know what I'm talking about. Literally Frankie fake out. So, and it's just the reason why the candles are so large is because the VIX is high. Okay. Tooth Fairy Luke says, are all market profile software paid? Well, the good ones are. If not, can you recommend any? There is a way to kind of mess with the NinjaTrader volume profile to make it look like a TPO profile, because they do have that option. I can't show you that now because I don't actually have my NinjaTrader open, because I want to keep the stream quite smooth, and I need to get some RAM memory. My computer is not that new anymore, so I need to expand some things in order to run everything that I'm running. So yeah, I can show you that tomorrow. But generally, if you're looking for a decent market profile, that's not going to be cheap. That's usually going to be anywhere from 150 up to $400-500 and that's where you're going to get all the functionality. Now, if Topstep ever get us the TPOs, obviously that will be free. One platform that has it for free is TraderVate, and it is decent because actually Hogue was involved in creating it. If you didn't know that, but you know, it is decent. Is it perfect? No, because I don't like the fact that you can't quite do this to the chart and move it around. Like, it just seems to be on a weird sort of fixed mode that annoys the hell out of me. Obviously I have my own, but any other market profile software that you see out there, if it's something that will work out of the box or something that has quite a lot of functionality to it, it's going to be paid for, because TPOs are pretty complex to code and will typically take out like 8-9 months of whoever is working on it in order to code it properly with all of the features and the graphical representations and tracking the value areas properly, both in real time and for the previous day, and then tracking TPOs, plotting all of that on the chart. You know, it's a lot of work. So I get it that people want everything for free now, but just beware that there's, you kind of get what you pay for, right? So you want cheap or you want quality. That's always going to be the argument. If you want cheap, yeah, you're going to spend some time doing ritual dances to get things to work properly. But, sometimes designating a little budget on the side in order to get your trading tools that you deem are very important for what you're doing might be the way forward. And don't forget that all of you, you're looking at making thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars from this, and yet you're like, oh, I don't want to pay for anything. It's like we just start a business without actually investing quite a bit of money into it, to buy stock, to buy advertising, to buy stuff. Trading is no different. If you want to use professional trading tools, you will have to shell out some money for them. The reason why we have a lot of stuff for free on Topstep is because obviously it's a prop firm with challenges. So they have another stream of income that they can shuffle into software development. So while it is free from that point of view for the end user, you still have to pay for a combine. You can get a practice account for a couple of weeks and stuff. But if you ultimately want access to everything, you still need to have a little bit of a payment towards something. And yes, we have risk tools. We have, we have volume profile, fixed profile, this, that, and the other, dome, but it's still, you still have a little charge for that. So it's awesome that Topstep is doing this for us, but at the same time, it is a platform in development, so they don't still have everything. I always said to people, whenever I see these platforms getting developed, it takes typically about 5 years to get them to where they need to be. Now, Patak is very good at having a vision and just pushing it straight out there. But now they're kind of building it all in front of you guys. And so that sometimes involves having some bugs. It sometimes involves, like he says, building a plane in the air, that's going to have its problems. But at the end of the day, he's bringing us something very disruptive to the industry. So full respect to MP for that. However, if you're looking for some tools that we still don't have, you're probably going to have to, pay a bit of cash for them. So I don't know. It's just, you need to figure out where you want to be with your trading and stuff. All right. So let's have a look at what's going on with DAX now that Wes mentioned this for us. So DAX today, in the first 30 minutes, has a humongously large candle of 193 ticks. And then we also have all the subsequent candles, pretty sizable at 100 ticks. Whenever I see that, it means sizing down and increasing stops to account for this extra volatility. Now, if I drag just the regular ATR, just to see what the current candles are doing today. And let's do over 9 periods because we're super early. Yeah, so usually this ATR is going to read, over 9 candles is going to read about 35 to 40, maybe 50. Today it's reading 94. Now that means a huge expansion of the existing range. The one on the top side is the ATR over the 14 period, which takes in the out of hours. So I'm not really interested in that. That will become more relevant as we get into the New York session. But for now, unless you're looking for a quick scalp, I really, like if you're looking for a typical DAX trade that's D style, market stalker style, don't nitpick on tiny stop losses. In fact, today I will probably be using at least a 55 tick stop on this because this is a huge range expansion. So it's not a wick that is the problem. The problem is that the candles that came after the whip, they're massive. And this means that the ADR and ASR are likely not going to be reactive in the way that you want it. Now, if this doesn't get ignored, it might get overshot by about 50, 60, 70 ticks before it reclaims it because the candles are so big. This is something that you cannot have it done automatically. Like, yes, you can have measures and tools that will tell you this, but this is like common sense, right? If 2, 3 30-minute candles are spanning like 130 ticks, yes, there's opportunity there, but you need to size down, look at increasing the stops a little bit to account for the extra volatility, and then consider that all of the levels that you have will be massively overshot, a lot more than DAX normally does. DAX normally doesn't really overshoot much. DAX usually does these things where it will maybe overshoot by about 15, 20 ticks, and even that would be like a little bit unusual. But because of this expansion, I think we had some ECB news. There was a meeting as well last week. So let me just have a look at whether anything notable was happening that might have caused this. I'm not aware of the rate decision getting changed, but I do know that they had the G7 meetings. Okay, yes, okay. So CPI came out, so that's inflation. Let's see. Year on year, forecast was 2.3, so 2.4 is the actual number. And the core CPI, 2.6, forecast was 2.5, okay. Interesting. Now, those are the numbers that will matter. So that's good. Those are good numbers. And, I would say that's actually pretty in line for equities. But they've obviously digested that as a super... Oops, where's my Topstep? It just disappeared on me. Everything disappeared. What's happened? Yeah, so... My guess is that they digested those numbers as positive numbers, which is why we are seeing that. Hold on, I lost my Discord as well. Okay. All right. Is this the one? Yeah, I think that's the one. We were talking about gold earlier. Yeah. Now, the traditional relationship between gold and equities has broken down somewhat. So I think there's like different safe havens that they're looking at right now that wouldn't necessarily be going like in a negative correlation, because that's what the old portfolio theory used to say. Oh, if equities are going up, then gold must go down. It doesn't, right? And I've seen them go the same way. Not like in the same strength, but definitely the same way. All right, let's have a look at some of these. Jay. Good morning, Jay. Jay? I don't know how you pronounce it properly. Morning, Dee. Would you consider the market profile on TradingView Pro to be good enough? No, because I find them very clunky. And actually, TradingView has basic features. So I've even tried paying for a few of those, and I have not been happy with any of them. They look like they're not really printing things in real time. That was my first problem. Second of all, they were really difficult to set up. So it was like some of them had sessions, but some of them only had one session. And then I tried to get the other sessions, and then they just went to the full ETH rather than RTH for the current session. So I've probably tried about 7 of them, and I'm not that happy with either of them. So... for me, if I'm going to pay for something, I want it working pretty much straight out of the box, and I want it to have really nice optimization tools, not just, oh yeah, there you go, here's a TPO profile for the previous day, which most of them had, and then I'm like, well, I want the current day's profile, and I want that to print. And I know why, is because it's PineScript, so it's not a proper object-oriented programming language, and it has issues, right? It's not very, very easy to get PineScript to behave as it should behave on profiles. So you would need a more, something like TPOs are not just a line on the charts. TPOs have a whole bunch of calcs underneath it that need to happen in order for it to work in real time properly without bugs and stuff. So for me, I've tried many of them on TradingView, and I've yet to come across one where I'm just like, yeah, it's pretty good. Lux Algo has like an initial balance software, so that was okay because it tells you, it doesn't show TPO profile, but it did show you whether it's a failed auction or a continuation through a very kind of simple, you know, X or continuation. So, you know, they do decent work. But yeah, I've yet to see one actual market profile that is complete on TradingView. This is why I stay on platforms that have either sort of C# or, you know, some sort of a real, true object-oriented programming in them, because I know that you can control variables and objects a lot better that way. I would actually say TraderVate over anything on TradingView, okay? Tooth Fairy Luke says, thoughts on ATAS order flow software. I haven't used ATAS much. I haven't heard too many people in the industry using it either, but I know that they've tried to make a decent job of it last time I looked. So, and again, being you know, being an order flow platform, I did see that they, you know, they have a lot of features on there. So my advice would be try it, see whether you like it. If you don't like it, move away. If you like it, stick with it, right? So this is what you know, I can't tell you whether you're going to like a trading platform just because, you know, I might prefer Bookmap or something. It doesn't mean that some other people might not prefer Footprint, even though Footprint, to me, I think they go too granular into what they're trying to trying to do. Like you know, the institutions are not going to be looking at, when they're trying to make a decision, they will make their move, but they won't be going, oh, what are the other participants doing? Because they are the ones who are making the moves. So I don't know. To me, it was always like a little bit too much. And I first got to see Footprint back in 2014. Market Delta was the one that came up with it. So I looked at it and I just went, really? Okay. How to lose your eyes in 5 years or less, right? But to me, you know, Bookmap does everything that it needs to do. However, try ATAS, see whether you like it. And like I said, you know, I tried, like for example, I tried Quantower. And I personally didn't like it, you know, but we have Robert Cooney, we have Coach Jay, they love it, right? Different folks, different strokes. So I can't tell you if you're going to like a platform. Try it out. If you gel with it, stick with it. You know, don't take like my opinion on it. It's a decent platform, so, you know. All right. Stop Hunter says, Heidi, can you look at copper, please? I can. Let's have a look at copper. I haven't yet. Okay. Weekly chart. Let's clean this up. So weekly chart. A little bit indecisive. So we've had a bearish engulfing, test of a supply, a huge move down. I traded copper a lot last week. But right now it seems to be a little stuck. It's an indecision candle. So we'll see as we start to drill down into this whether there's anything there. For now, creating accumulation. That's very interesting. So they tried to go lower, failed, created a range. And now, I mean, if you take this as a range, however, what I'm seeing here are slightly lower areas that maybe, just maybe, for now, this is the range that they're looking at. So that's much smaller. So not much to see there. 4-hour chart. Looking a little bearish, but this final supply attempt creation is now failing because we've gone over the proximal line, which I like to call conterminous line, common price point of a market shift. That has given way. So that's not good. That means that this is either a range, like I just said, or we might be going into a further pullback after this happened. Let me have a look at what my Fisher transform is doing. Yeah, so Fisher transform flat as well. whenever we have an attempt of accumulation on such a large time frame, like a daily chart, I have dog hair on my face everywhere. I would say that maybe a markup could be on the cards. So a little bit of a phase 2, which means going higher. But I still need evidence of that. So let me have a look at what the options are doing. Options activity. Projected one-day range from the options is 461 on the upside. Do I have those? That's irrelevant today. So 461 is the projected upside, which was the former core resistance and gamma wall. But today, the calls are lower down, so they're at 454. So that's changed. And the projected range from the volatility of the previous day is at 61. Now, projected ranges could be very similar to my ADR and ASR levels. So we're going to see where my levels are. Today they're not exactly matching up because the range that we've had during London actually says that London will already exhaust the range at 459.50, whereas the overall 24-hour range says 464.50. But in the middle of that, you have this projected one-day max. We also have GEX1, which is a pretty strong level of interest at 460. So once we get up to 460, I would expect to see a little bit of a slowdown in price, so it probably won't be as smooth. So this entire range here, I would be very careful going. Like, it's not that you can't find positions there, but it might add time onto any breakout type trades. So if you try to do a breakout, they might just go and then they might eventually break through it. So anytime you have levels of high interest, do you like my little sound effects? So anytime you have areas that have like bunched up interest from the options activity, they tend to be a little bit difficult to break through in one go. This is why I like to look at them. But for now, we have an HVL as well that was at 457. We have broken through it. Let's see what we have on the 30-minute chart. Strong move out of the gate last 15 minutes because of that CPI release. So that's out of the way now. But I want to see a pullback. So I'm leaning towards longs on copper, actually. Not up here because this is a very strong move. Christ, hold on. I've got my own hair in my face as well. So yeah, if we get a nice pullback, maybe establishing a range somewhere new rather than just kind of going into one massive candle post CPI. I would really, like in the most ideal situation, I would like it to test initial balance high and then to reverse and go into another upside move towards this area. And the way I look at things, like if we hit this area first, that will make me want to short things more because there's the London ASR around 459.50 as well. Let's put that on. So it's kind of like looking at the execution flow when you're coding. You know, you want this to happen first and that to happen first and this to happen. So if we go down to test the initial balance high, to me, longs will still be in play. But if we go all the way up higher and then we hit this area, then longs are not going to be that good of an option anymore unless we break through and then yet another pullback. So again, patience with copper today. It is in an accumulation on the daily chart. And it's reacted positively to the European CPI as well. So for now, longs until 460, 461. And then we're going to see what they want to do with it. Okay. Where do I get my news calendar and update? So they have it on here, but I use Financial Juice. I use Econoday. But you can find the Topstep as well. So there's news somewhere. You can switch on news. Let me see if I can do that here. Preferences? No. News events. I know that there's a button somewhere. Is it this one? Chart settings. It's too early. It's too early. But you can use anything. You can use Forex Factory. You can use Econoday. You can use Financial Juice. You know, there's like loads and loads of sources. And yes, I do believe Topstep also has it. But I just, for the life of me, this morning, I can't remember where the bloody button is. But they have it. And then it's like on your chart is a little note to tell you there's something coming. Paul H. Hit the like. He always reminds me. So yes, guys, hit the like if you like what I'm yapping on about here. Give me some love this Monday morning in March. Very sunny today in London. Can you tell us what settlement price you have for platinum? I have 937.9, but that's an indicator. Yeah, so platinum actually, let me look at my settings here. So platinum settles, I believe it settles at the same time as gold, I believe. Now, let me just double check, because I think copper closes earlier. It closes at 6:05 p.m. our time. What am I looking for? Platinum. And platinum is really odd because it kind of trades on COMEX, but it's listed on NYMEX. So if you want to get platinum data, you have to have NYMEX. And then it starts trading with COMEX, but its settlement is actually COMEX also, even though it's NYMEX. It's like, what are you guys doing? Mixing up, like, who did that and why? So let me just see what they. No, okay, so it is earlier. It is earlier, so 1:05 p.m. So that will be. So that is actually closing earlier. So platinum closes at 6:05 p.m. And my indicator VWAP also has platinum, which is this blue line. It literally just acts as a time-based thing, so it might differ a little bit from the actual settlement price. However, right now I have it as 947. Is it 947? 947. Hold on. Let me see if I get that right. I might have just changed something that has nothing to do with anything. So settlement. Settlement. What did I switch on? Let's see. And if I go true. Time of day, yes. Time of day. Am I on? Yeah, I'm on 30 minutes. So what's happening here? Is this Friday? Yeah, Friday. Sorry, Friday. Hold on. What is happening here? Why is it telling me that's like the actual close? It is not. Let me just try something. Hold on. So this is the electronic close. This is the actual settlement from when? Yeah, so this is the Friday settlement. All right, so I've got it. So yes, you're right. So it's 9:38. Yeah, it is 9:38. And it just takes the, I don't know why this is on there. I'm trying to think. I need to have a look at this, why this line is on there. Yeah, but settlement is 9:38. You're right. Doesn't have to be like to the tick, right? 9:37, 9:38 is fine. Basically what it is, settlement is exactly where it closed at the particular time of day when the former open outcry hours used to run. So Paul, you have the right. The indicator is correct. Yeah. Avi says, Dee, how do you get MFE, MAE data from Topstep? Is it available? I don't think so. I think they have it on the back end, but the way I get it is by exporting my XFA stuff into the, when we used to have XFAs, into another external platform, which is Edgewonk. I have it on my own channel. So if you want to get that, that's good. Some people have TradeZella. All of it does pretty similar things. And for all of them, unless the platform is actually tracking open equity, you will have to put it in manually. So as a highest or lowest price, highest and or lowest price in order to get it. So yeah. I do have a DAX setup. Initial balance long, and bizarrely this one would actually offer me 35 ticks, so I might try that on another platform. Do you know what? I'm going to use a 55 tick stop. And I'm just going to see what the options are. All right, let's see whether this bounce is for real or not. So I'm in on DAX from 22,820. If it dips deeper, then I will try to scale into this just to kind of minimize that stop a little bit. But I am only in with 2 right now. Normally I'm like 3, 4, 5, depends on the size of the stop, but I'm only in with 2. Let's see what they want to do with it. Yeah, so the MFE, MAE, usually that's like a little bit more in-depth data. Now, Topstep X does have quite a lot of it in the analytics. However, you will notice on my live, we don't have the fancy tools. we don't have analytics. They haven't actually created it yet for us. So what I tend to do, I run similar trades both in a combine and in my actual live account, and then I export the combine stats to actually see what I'm looking at. So yeah, all of the fancy tools that you guys have, live is kind of like, because there's not that many of us, live is sort of second to last to get it as a feature. So yeah, so far no trades for me. We're still waiting. Range bars would be nice. Yes, I agree. I quite like range bars. I like Renko, and I'm also trying to use a 100 tick chart. You have seen me do that many times here. Zona says, apparently I specialize in waking up too early this morning. Do you know what? I also woke up super early. I actually woke up at, well, not quite as early as you, Zona, but yeah, I woke up at like 6:30 for no reason whatsoever. Okay. Kai says it was the New York market open that killed me last week. What do I preach in this class? Don't trade the open. Look, at least keep your fingers in your pants for like the first 15 minutes. Even if it's not like the first hour or 90 minutes like I like to do. At least the first 15 minutes. Don't do anything, right? Find something else to do with your hands. Like I'm really not joking. You know, we all work from home, you know, and find something else to do. So yeah. Paulette H says, you can find on TradingView if you search session TPO market only. I did try that one, didn't really like it, but yeah, maybe I'm used to the highly paid software that I used to do. I don't know whether you know, but the other platform, T4, that we were all on in Topstep for years, they actually charged for monthly market profile back in the day, $500 a month as a rental. It was insane. Yeah, 15-minute lockout, exactly. Well, cheeky. I'm trying to preach something and then people come on the session and say that they've done and lost money exactly doing what you're not supposed to be doing and what I say not to do, right? So I'm like, well, can you really blame anybody else apart from yourself? So I always try to bring in a bit of humor into it and something that would be memorable to the people that are actually listening. And, keep your hands in your pants is what I'm... It's a good way to pass the time and... yeah, let's move on. Let's keep it PG and move on. How do you get a mentor with Topstep? You sign up for the VIP forum that they run every so often. They're not running it now because right now we're in session 2, series 2 of the VIP Topstep program. But once they start drafting for the following session, because it's in 3-month cycles, then you can fill in as many forms as possible and, increase your chances in the draft. But right now it's a free program, obviously. But because it's free, we have a draft that is basically for only the lucky traders that are there enough to listen. However, that's going to be during the main broadcast. Maybe not this week because the core team is away. So we're going to have a Dolby takeover for this week. I'm going to be here. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday, and for one of the segments, I think that I'm going to be there for an hour, and then for another one, I'm going to be there for 2 hours. So you will be seeing me a little bit more. But yeah, it's Dolby takeover on TopstepTV this week. Tushar says for NQ. Was the late surge basically due to expiring options activity? No, there was no expiring options on Friday. Usually the options expire 3rd Friday of the month, not 4th. What you saw on Friday was your typical, like I said it, I know that I was messing around in the reversal challenge and I blew out on purpose, but I did say as we were going into the session that we might see a pretty violent move either side. I didn't know which side they want to take it, but I said because of the month expiry, you could see some crazy moves, right? And basically, this is the end of month behavior. You can get it for options expiries as well. You're absolutely right to mention this activity. But sometimes the options expiry is a bit of a nothingness. It's like, you're expecting a massive move and they just keep it range bound. But it will depend where it is. Like if it's somewhere near the strikes, somewhere near the relevant strike prices, that's when you don't really see much movement. But if there's like strike interest somewhere away from the current price, that is when you will see huge unwinding. I'm just going to clear my throat. And do I expect a bearish resumption later today? Looking at what DAX is doing, no. This would be a no. I would need to see whether that was whether open interest on CME gives us some clues there. So listen for the open interest announcement. So we're not really going to have that. So let me do that for you, okay? So let's see. Okay, so at the close, we actually added 9,000 contracts of new buyers. Okay, so this is new buying interest. I would not be looking for bearish anything because we have new buyers that have stepped in at the end and they are interested in buying it, right? So I don't think so. Just purely on the open interest, whenever you have new buying, it means new stuff is going on. But let me have a look at where we are right now. So let's go to NQ. But yeah, copper, I'm leaning longs until we get some higher prices. However, trade location is just really crap for me. So we need to see what's happening. Okay, what did that move do? What did that move do for the higher time frames? Well, look at that. We picked a second demand down to bounce from. Now, this is the weekly chart, but I know that I was looking at this. Look at that. This is your demand level, yeah? From a while back. They touched it, and they just went away from it. One little clue that I had on Friday was that GEX 1, which was around the 700s, they couldn't break it. So I said, if we go below 700, we could see a more serious move down. But that also meant if you defend 700, you will stay above 700. So that's just how GEX 1 and GEX 2 levels do things. Now, I do admit that I was trying not to come back for the reversal challenge, and I do think they're sizing up too much, which caused everybody to blow out 10 minutes before. And JD was funny because he came back and he was in the chat and he's like, I just went to get a coffee. What happened? Well, what? But yeah, so, you know, I was having a little bit of fun with it. However, I said two things, right? I said we could see a major move because of how the institutions like to position themselves into the end of the month on the last day of the month. Again, not always, but statistically, I've gotten in trouble back when I was a newer trader at the end of the month. So over time in my journals, which were handwritten back then, I actually wrote down, be careful about the end of the month. Observe a massive unwinding of positions or massive new positioning stepping in. And then every end of the month, I used to have an alarm that used to remind me that that is what's going to happen. And now, after nearly 18 years of doing that, I'm just like, oh yeah, end of the month. You know, all of these things that you put in your journals and then you keep referencing, they eventually seep into your DNA, right? And then you don't have to think twice about them. They're just there as a knowledge that you can fall back on at any point. Now, obviously, anyone who's been trading for 2, 3, 4 years, even 5 years, those events are not as clearly defined in your head. So it will take time until they become kind of a part of your reflex cycle, so to speak. Until then, you have to rely on alarms, you have to rely on observation, journaling. But I've used alarms for, like, even now I have it, if something is going on and I'm like either on a call or maybe I'm streaming live or whatever, I have an alarm that will tell me that the lunchtime is beginning in New York. Why? Because sometimes I forget to look at the clock, right? And I know that lunchtime is rarely conducive for what I'm trying to do for my particular style of trading. So if I'm in a trade and I'm in profit, if I'm in profit quite a bit, I will probably leave it alone. But if I'm just like in a little bit of profit, I will kill it for lunchtime in New York. So yeah, equities to me, with a new buying on NQ, I don't think they're going to be bearish, you know. So I will be looking for signs of continued longs. Something's changed though. You know, we did bust through some demands here. There is a chance that they go up to 21 to 29 area. So it's a zone. Remember, it's not just like a singular thing. That's the first price point where I would be wanting to see a reaction to the downside. If you don't see that, longs are not on. Let's see what ES did actually. So with the open interest, because I don't think Hogue is around today, because I think they're all on a retreat. So I'm going to put on my Hogue hat and tell you what's happened with open interest. ES though, they lost 18,000 contracts. So NASDAQ has gained new buyers, but so what happened in ES? I wasn't even watching it because we were in a let me see what happened on the 30-minute chart. So that was that. I mean, they pushed it. It wasn't nearly as violent though as NQ, was it? Like, look at that. That's just like, that's a normal, you know, short squeeze, but nothing, like I wouldn't call that. Yeah, I mean, NASDAQ had a huge sort of attempt at taking out 700s and then whoosh. So yeah, NASDAQ more bullish than ES. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some divergence today in their behavior. Let's put them side by side, actually. Let's see how they're behaving. Okay, I've just realized I'm starving today. I'm trying not to do heavy cream or double cream as we call it in here. All right, so for now they look pretty similar. This could change in a flash once the regular trading hours open, so I wouldn't do anything too much. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see longs continuing in NQ and ES is sort of either not following with quite the same zest or just being sort of a bit undecisive, because there is a difference in open interest between these two. That would tell me that people are bailing out of some of the stocks in ES and into like the whole AI stuff in NASDAQ. So that could be the reason why we've had such a difference in open interests. So yeah, caution today. Again, look for understanding before you plow in at the open, because it's moving, I must get in. So try to get out of that mindset. If you have a thought that it's moving, I need to be in, go and lift some weights. Go run up and down the stairs. Go do burpees. Go have like, you know, some pair of free weights and do compound interest. Don't shuffle your desire for adrenaline, to be an adrenaline junkie, into the open, because that's the worst thing you can do. And that just tells me noob, right? Whenever I see somebody jumping in after like 1 second, I'm just like, oh, you noob. You're going to get wrecked. So if you ever saw how video games are. So, noob. Where was the... let me try to find it. So yeah. Oh, if you open a position and you come crying to me that you've done it, next time I'm just gonna put this on. Get wrecked, noob. So fingers off the trigger and find something else to do. This is where hobbies are good, right? Try and find hobbies. Is Trade coming back on soon? I would try. Paul, you know, I told you that we are in the process of the house sale. It's all been a little bit crazy for me, so I've been just crashing out really early. Like, I'm talking like 9:30 p.m. I'm like in bed, and usually we would agree to come on sort of around midnight my time. But because I've just been passing out and it totally just like slipped my mind, I will try to get him on Thursday. Generally, you know, he's pretty cool to stay up for us because it is very late for him. That's like, I think 1:30 a.m. for him. So, you know, it's, or 12:30. 1:30. Yeah, I think it's 1:30 a.m. So it's very late for him. But he's always very kind to come and stay and chill with us. So I think we should be okay for this Thursday. Thank you for asking. I'll let him know that you were asking for him. I know people like it when Coach Ray is here because, you know, he gives us a different perspective. He is a gold trader and he does trade crude oil as well, but he's mainly a gold trader and he does really good, you know, he's super controlled. It's never like massive days or massive losses. It's always like very, very controlled. He's one of the most controlled, calm traders that I've ever had a pleasure to work with in my life. Another question also, if we have a combine about to rebill, but it is way below starting balance, would you let it rebill or just start a new one? If it's way below starting balance, I would just get a new one. But that's just me, because it depends though, Paul. I mean, you're in an XFA, and this could be just an odd period. I don't think you're someone who wrecks combines on purpose. So let me just see the rest of your message, because I think there's a second part to that. Yeah, so basically just I would just get a new one, to be honest. Purely because I know how you trade, and I know that you are actually a very mindful trader, but we have had an expansion of ranges. That's going to put a wrench in the works in anyone's. And it's not just in equities. We've had the expansion of ranges in copper, in platinum, in DAX. All right, DAX is slowly making a move, so I didn't need to do anything. Looks like I'm going to be in with 2 today. Okay, fair enough. It's okay. It's okay. So yeah, that was my entry. So we're slowly moving in the right direction on DAX. So knowing how you trade and knowing that you're pretty diligent, it's probably that you got. I mean, I know you're going to be on this week, so I want to hear what happened, obviously. But I suspect it's just the expansion of the ranges that got you, which is fine. We all have to go through this. This is why it's so good to keep trading and keep getting experience. And really, there's no replacement for time and different market states and what can happen to you to make you understand when to get defensive, when you see the expansion of ranges, how to approach that. Is it through smaller stops? I would say no. I would stay smaller size and slightly larger stops to give yourself time to see what the hell is going on. And even going down to 1 micro, right? It's like, what are they trying to do here? Go to the 4-hour chart as well. Don't try not to make all the decisions from the intraday timeframes, but see whether we're in a good trade location on a 4-hour chart. It will put you in a better trade location if you're trading from a supply and demand on a larger time frame than trading on a middle of nowhere on a 15-minute chart, and you're like, wow, yeah. Personal Entertainment says, do you or any of the other coaches offer any courses? So I do have a whole coaching thing that has been going on since 2018 really, but let's say 2019 is when it all really started kicking off. Most of the other coaches don't have their own structured courses, but mine is actually CPD certified, and I worked very hard to create something that is quite kind of like a university degree, right? It's not like, oh, let me just talk at you for 4 hours in webinars. Like, you have live streams for that. You want to see us talk about the real-time movements, analyzing the markets, but you want to learn a concept. You will never learn it from looking at things at real time, because you don't even have an abstract concept of what should happen. That's an entirely different way of putting your skills up, and it's going to take you forever to get there. Like, I'm not surprised people spend like 3-4 years bumbling around. Some people spend 15 years bumbling around, kind of making money, but then blowing up, but then also not really understanding where the problems are. So what I try to do with my courses, and if you want to see that, I have a whole channel of my own, right? So if you type in Market Stalker D, and Market Stalkers, which is my thing, because it's not just me, it was like a whole team of people working on this. I also have a software development team. So it's not, I know that I'm the face of the channel over there, and I know that I'm an on-air personality for Topstep, but there's so much more that went into it. And I know that some people are like, oh my God, she sells courses. But it's like, I'm not selling you, oh, go long with VWAP. I'm saying there's a methodology behind what I'm teaching that is not easy to reverse engineer by looking at it how I'm doing it. And then some of these big trades where I capture 160, 200 ticks, you have to only capture them at particular spots. And it's like there's a whole I like to use flow diagrams when I'm explaining setups, and there's like a particular state of the market and a trade location that has to happen across the board for multiple time frames in order for those setups to actually appear. It will be the equivalent of trading NQ and capturing 1,300 ticks in one day. That's what I do on copper. That's what I do on platinum. That is the kind of trades that I'm looking for. Okay. Yes, I will scalp if it's a range bound day. I will do that on DAX. You know, I will try and skim 30 ticks here, 30 ticks there. But when I have a trending move, when we're at a point of at a trade location where you're like, okay, everything's topping out. Now let's see if we can get a single direction day down as a market state change. Those are the kind of trades that I'm well known for. And I'm also known for holding trades up to a certain point where, you know, when I take them off, they reverse. So actually, I had Coach Hoop on in the VIP session on Friday. He was very kind to come and join me. And he was like, how do you do that? So I said it's time-based. You know, it's something that I noticed between the sessions and the behavior. So it makes me look like an absolute effing genius when I do that, but it's nothing more than just statistics and data and me applying those pretty diligently in the way I trade. So, you know, but, you know, different people, different folks, different strokes, different skills, and different styles. I will say, though, that most people are trying to be scalpers, but scalping is only suitable for the most minute type of personality, okay? Most people will be too emotional to be scalpers. Scalpers are like cold, hard killers, right? And you usually have something else in your life as a skill that has brought you to a point of emotional resilience where you are able to handle scalping. But most people are an emotional mess. And yet they're like, oh, you know, I'm a scalper. Are you really? Because if you can't control that, like somebody's asking about the number of trades per day. I do limit my number of trades per day. Yes. I will usually do between 3 and 5 per day. And that's on different products. That's not like, oh, let's smash in, five trades on copper that is not a scalping type product. You know, it will be, you know, maybe trading a couple of trades on copper, then trading, you know, a couple of trades on RBOB, then trading, you know, I don't know, maybe popping in an ES trade at the end of the day or something. So it will be like 5 trades throughout multiple products because there's different things happening at different points of the day. It's also not going to be 5 trades in the space of an hour. And if I do that, I have to tell myself, wow, that was a lot of trading, go and stop. Because that's outside of my own expectation of what I should be doing in an hour. Okay, let's have a look. So yeah, personal entertainment. If you do want to have a look at my course offerings, just go to my channel. So type in Market Stalker. So click on my, you can click on my profile. Actually, let me see if I can maybe, I don't know, share my own YouTube channel, which I haven't done in a while. So let's see. I know that many people don't even know that I have a channel, but yeah, I've been on YouTube since 2015, I think. So nearly 10 years. I didn't take it seriously always. Like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm a YouTuber. I was just like, yeah, I have a channel. So how would you share a channel? Here we go. Okay. Share channel. Am I doing this right? I have no idea. Here we go. So that's my channel. If you wanna go there, I have put it on the back burner. So I'm just gonna put it out there because obviously I'm doing this. So I'm quite busy with Topstep. However, I'm also in the process of selling this house, and it's been, you know, trying to change your primary residence is a bit of a stressful process. Let's put it that way. But yeah, it's a channel that I took quite seriously for about 3-4 years, and then I got sick. So I had some issues with the vaccine injury, which still plagues me. So I have to be careful with my energy levels. So for now, I'm not posting that much. Like I might do one video every 2-3 months. Once it's over with like the house sale and everything, I do plan to maybe do a bit more over there again, but I just have to like manage myself. Tushar Ratke says, I saw a couple of videos today showing that there's some very serious macroeconomic indicators for a possible recession. As a swing trader, what sector stocks do you use to defend against the crash? So I've been through a couple of crashes. First one in 2008 and second one in COVID. I do protective puts on some of my positions. Once I see certain... I wouldn't say that we have maybe an indicator that there is a bubble in the AI stocks. Are we heading for recession? I'm not, I don't know what macro indicators you read, but inflation is pretty under control. All of the job creation is not doing all that bad. I just want to know what is it that you were looking at and how old was that article? Because obviously one thing that is happening right now is that we have a new administration in the US. That's always going to cause a level of uncertainty. Does the change of regime in the US always cause a recession? No, it does not. So I don't know how much stock I would put into that. And, so tell us, what were these indicators? I really want to know. Are your Skillshare courses still valid? I don't think so, because Skillshare decided that I'm not active enough and decided to put them out. But I do have them at the same price as I have it on Udemy on my own website now. So it's, literally the same thing. In fact, I think I put a couple more lectures in the cheap ones, the entry-level ones. How much do you think fundamental analysis matters compared to analysis in the charts? Lenku, if you are an intraday trader, I would say that maybe once a month you should look at the fundamentals. If there's a market difference, like let's say a interest rate change by the Fed or by the European Union, that's very relevant. That will cause a reprice if there's a huge difference and if it's a surprise, like the December one was from the Fed. But as a whole, you're an intraday trader. Do you care what's going to happen? And if your chart is not telling you that they're reacting to whatever random piece of news, that it doesn't have a sustained reaction to it, does it really matter? Especially if you're one of those traders who's going to hold a trade for 15 seconds. Maybe if you're going to hold a swing trade over a few days or a couple of weeks. But, I don't really look at fundamentals on a daily basis, I can tell you that much. I will look at them once a month. And obviously leading indicators, NFP, obviously we're going to have NFP, I think this week. But yeah, unless it's, inflation, so CPI, PPI, PCE, Fed rate, NFP, and even the PCE never used to bring much to it's weird. In the last couple of years in particular, they're almost grasping on every release to kind of. I remember one time the Manchester, is it Manchester? It's not Manchester. No, that's in the UK. The consumer thingy sentiment, whatever it is, that was such a minor number back in the day. Nobody even cared. But now it's oh whoa, your consumer sentiment. It's really? Michigan consumer sentiment, that's the one. So I'm since when is that anything that moves the markets? And yet, last year, they were just yes, let's hold on to any single release and use it as an excuse to move it wherever we want to. High volume, very funny. Yes. That's right. Tushar says, the software you have is automated. So it's some of the software that we have is full code, right? But that's the stuff that we lease to others. Now, for my own side of things, whenever I'm going to do a swing trade, that's someone scratching themselves. If you heard that, that's no one knocking, it's just a dog scratching. So if I'm going to do a swing trade on something, that is partly automated. So basically it collates data and then says, okay, this is where the swing should start happening. And then it's up to me to go, okay, let's see if there's evidence of that actually happening for real. But the stuff that we are coding, the one that my team is taking care of, that is being optimized by them. I'm just a strategist that came up with the idea, but then the companies that we lease those algorithms to, they have their own quant strategists that will decide whether to run the algorithm or not. Our job is just to say, well, this is the market conditions that we're looking for. It's up to you to decide whether you want to switch it on or off. But it's it's a different sort of thing. So it's not like I'm very skeptical whenever I see people who are like selling one algorithm and it's like the be all and end all. The algorithm has arrived. And yet, if you try to code up multiple things into a single algorithm, what you will find is that you've over-optimized and there's too many filters, and that algorithm will almost never trade because it will see one thing on one side and then we'll see another thing. That is actually something we made a huge mistake with in the first 2 years. So we threw away 2 years of me trying to replace myself as a trader. I'm like, well, this is a strategy, that's right, and we coded all of it up and it was almost never trading because it was clashing between the ideas. And therefore we had to throw it all out, start again, and just code single algorithm around a single idea with very few conditions in it. So yes, it's sort of automated, but I have to decide whether to click a button or not. Hopefully that makes, yeah. So Tushar says retail sales and consumer confidence is low based on that video adjusted seasonally. Yeah, so consumer confidence is going to be low anytime there's an expectation of tariffs. Like if somebody tells you as a consumer, hey, everything's going to be 25% more expensive because we're adding tariffs onto imported goods. Is your confidence as a consumer going to be high? You know, I sometimes think we need to put like common sense to what the videos are saying. Of course, it's going to be low. Everything's going to get more expensive. Is that automatically a reason for a recession? No. Because there will be other industries that will be doing quite well. Typically at times of, another indicator that I like to use is how are the luxury goods doing, right? Because at times of good economy, luxury stocks, luxury goods, designer goods, things that you don't need, they're typically doing pretty well, okay? When things start going to shit, that's where those luxury goods take the hit first. And then you start seeing some of the everyday items, like the supermarkets and stuff, they start to do really well because suddenly people are not shopping for, the ornate pig with like, I don't know, Swarovski crystals on it that you can put in your bathroom just because. Suddenly they are, shopping for, basics. They're shopping for, shampoo. They're shopping for washing up liquid, detergents and stuff like that. So that can be an indicator of sector-wide behavior of the consumers. That's something that I would be looking at. Rather than some random YouTube video who says, oh, the consumer sentiment is low. Of course it's going to be low. They're introducing tariffs. But it doesn't, automatically see anything. Alyssa says, I can never see anything on her charts, just colors. Here's a big thing. Charts are colors. But I've actually put my candles to not be colorful, to delineate some of the other things. And as I'm drawing things, I always explain what they are. So you're either not here when I'm doing the initial drawings, Because I never just, very rarely do I come on and just go, oh, these are all the things. For example, on NQ, if we're going to do this for NQ, I would go, well, we have the average daily range low at 2643. So I would say 2643 is the average daily range low. But if you can never see anything on my charts, you don't have to watch me. I always say that. There's always a possibility to not actually watch things that you don't enjoy, yeah? So I would say that's the average daily range low, right? Then I would put in the value area. So where is the RTH value for New York, Friday? 2745. So that's 2745. I would say RTH is 2745, value high. And this is locked for some reason. Value low is at 2565. So if we stay above it, there's a chance that we touch RTH value high, then go higher. So if you can't see anything, then either come here when I'm explaining all this stuff in the beginning, or just don't watch it. It's always a thing. Okay. So, how are we doing for time? All right, let's take another couple of questions, then I'm going to be out of here. Because it is Monday, I'm probably not going to trade until like 3 p.m. my time, which is 9 a.m. CST. But yeah, so yeah, Tushar, I would be interested to know whether... Kyle, you really got a kick out of that, didn't you? The hands in your pants, yeah. Future Chart says, need to get going. Thank you, Dee. Have a good trading day. Everyone, actually have a good day in general. Actually, let's say have a good week rather than focusing just on one day. Why don't we say, let's all aim to manage our P&L on a weekly basis rather than just today. That's going to get blinkers off of your eyes, and suddenly you're going to be like, whoa, okay, how is my week doing? And how do I not F up the week? Don't trade the open. That's first thing. So hands in your pants, like what is Dee's advice? Hands in your pants for the first 15 minutes at the open. Go do something else. And then look at your P&L on the weekly basis. So no single trade outcome or no single day outcome should make a massive dent in your combine or an XFA or a funded account. Because if that's what's happening, size down, slow down. That's the third thing. And let's try to have a good week, everyone. Okay? Have a good week. I'm going to see you later in this week, obviously, for another London session, but also during the main broadcast. It is a Dolby takeover this week because the team is going to be away for their annual retreat. So all the permanent employees are not around. I think Dolby agreed to stay because he's just an all-around great guy. Follow us on Discord. I'm going to drop that in the chat right now because that is where all the fun and games are. We have classes, more classes running out up until the end of the day. And with the VIPs, we also have a lot of things happening all the time, like all throughout the day. Now, if you want to come and join us at some point once the team is back from their retreat, you can also fill out a casting form. So here it is. That's all from me for now. No trades. I don't think that the trade locations are there yet. It's too early in the day for me, too early in the week. This is a new month, so I'm slowing things down until I have a very decent understanding of what they want to do with this. Looking for potential longs, like I said, in copper, but not until we've had some sort of a, decent pullback there. And yeah, let's see what they want to do with March. Until tomorrow, this has been the London Session class on TopstepTV. I'm Deeyana Angelo, aka Marcus Dee. Have a lovely day, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care.